We have a lot of decisions to make within our life. We don't always know if we make the best decision in our life. We constantly reflect on, is this really the best decision? Over time, especially as we find out the consequences to our actions are not as we originally planned, or they are consequences that are quite dire, causing other problems that we never expected would be there. And so thus we must make a wise choice in our life. Think about the choices we make every day in our life and become more conscious overall. I'm going to be sharing with you guys a short little story, and then from there I'll read a little bit of poetry, but I want you to really think about this for yourself. If you have to, really reflect on it. The young man knew that his decision would have lifetime consequences. He thought long and hard over his situation and was secure in the knowledge that he had made the right choice. Sure enough, as soon as word reached the ears of everyone who knew him, the consequences made themselves known. First, his friends didn't want anything to do with him. His family shunned him. He was no longer invited to gatherings with them or other relatives. They acted as though he didn't exist. He was never able to find a good paying job because of the stigma. Living alone, he never married. When his parents died, he discovered that he was excluded from the will. Finding himself an outcast, he nevertheless got by. Many years later, he knew he was dying, but he never regretted his decision. He knew intellectually, morally, and philosophically that it was the only option for him. When he died, he was buried in an unmarked grave. No parades for his type, no days to honor him, no moment of silence for his passing. He did not expect anything. He did it for his own integrity. And although he would have liked things to be different, he never regretted his decision. Maybe someday there will be special parking spots at grocery stores marked "Parking for Conscience's Objectors." He made his decision based on what he thought was right. Veterans also make their decisions based on what they felt was right. War is when the government tells you who your enemy is. Non-compliance is when you have already figured it out for yourself. So this is a short story shared by Victor Johnson. Okay, so thank you, Victor, for sharing this with us, because I think if we think about it, just reflect on this for a bit, we start to understand it's because individuals are choosing their own path. They're choosing to think for themselves, and therefore they find themselves being naturally an outcast of society. And they find themselves with a lot of problems, but they stand on it, and they want to stand on it. It's like Frederick Douglass realizing he's a slave and then not being able to unsee what he sees now. It's a truth so evident, what is he going to do? Try to ignore it? He sees it and nobody else sees it. He has an obligation to share it, or at least hold it with him in his heart because he knows it's the truth. And there's a lot of people who might cower away. People who know the truth and refuse to share it with others because they're fearful and they see all these problems like that can happen to an individual like this. But being aware of that can be powerful, because you don't have to be like that. You can show by example, you can inspire people, you can find your tribe, and that's exactly what I've done. It's exactly what we've done with Food Forest and Jim Gale and Food Forest Abundance. And you can see that great people come together and great minds think alike, and that you don't need to be among the crowds of the unthinking mass. You can be among the people who are innovating, who are changing the world, who are thinking for a better world. The only way it's possible, because we created this system that we have, so therefore we can equally destroy it, the only way it's possible is if we start thinking and trusting the process of truth. Trusting that truth will always rise to the top, and that's why the systems keep falling, and that's why they keep failing. And so if you go with that trust, it's like flowing on a stream, like the Tao, right? Taoism, an ancient esoteric philosophy. Being able to flow with the truth, intelligently so, effortlessly. So it's not like you're pushing yourself too hard or you feel like it's a burden on your life. It's part of your life. You make it your life. You surround yourself with everybody who really wants to make that a reality. This is what the abolitionists did with creating their own towns, with creating their own meetings, and in coining the term abolitionist. It created a sense of unity, and that unity builds more trust, and it builds more momentum, and it creates more change. So one decision by one person, and then guess what? You share that decision with others, or you show by example. That's two people making the same decision. Soon you got 3, soon you got 4, soon you got 5, and that multiplies drastically over time. I know for a fact my channel has grown, and I haven't done anything reaching out to other people for them to plug me, honestly. I'm mostly self-made. Nobody's really giving me shoutouts. And I noticed though, it doesn't matter how slow I rose for 3 years, getting only 5 views in my first videos. It didn't matter. Because over time, it grew exponentially, and as people shared and commented and as a community was built, it was stronger rather than having some people just come in on a tsunami not knowing who you are. It's a stronger bond, and it is authentic, and it is beautiful because over time it does grow faster and faster and faster. You know, you're impatient, guess what? It will come. Truth will come. Justice will come to all those who oppose the truth. It's just a matter of time. I don't see those in power as smart. I see them, in fact, as those who follow them. Just mindless, doing their thing, instinctual, trying to control, trying to find every means to secure their fragile ego. Okay? I think the people who are smart are the people who do make their decisions and stand on their principle. We talked about living with principle in a previous article, right? Being a purist in a sense. And I recommend checking out that video because it has questions that challenge your own worldview. I'm going to put some questions on the screen for you as well, in case you're new to this community, to this information. Because thinking for ourselves is practicing self-ownership. And unless we don't want to practice our self-ownership, we don't want to think for ourselves, we are going to give way to the collective, and then we lose ourselves. We lose our humanity, and we just become a number of society, just as Dr. Carl Jung talks about in another video we talked about. So let's talk about this more through a poem that was sent by Nearby Nettis. Thank you for sending this poem. Let's look at this through. He says, "You could be anyone, but no one could be you. It's time for spiders, pests, and bats and owls to guard the throne. Let the rot have its rot. They deserve themselves. Consequences for them, study case for you. We were duped to pay for weapons that killed innocent people. We were duped to sign in to many death sentences. Should you be ashamed? A veteran remembers dealing blows to nations. Let us focus forward. Use shame for fuel, for passion, to educate, research. Johnny, focus forward. Freedom is always in front. Do you care enough? What are you proud of? What is your passion? Who should we wake up next? Who's not like the rest? Who would help you light the spark? Care, heart, mind, guts, right? Heart, mind, guts. Is there a better solution? Faith will give you courage. Courage, liberty, and abundance." I think it's an amazing poem you shared here, Nearby Nettis, because, you know, it tells us that what we see in our world, we don't have to become sad, we don't have to become angry, we can study it. We can become the philosopher on the side, just like Lao Tzu and the Tao Te Ching, leaving society or being on the outcasts of society and seeing that you can be within society but not following society, and therefore thinking for yourself, and being able to then study, write down, note this for the future generations, to learn for yourself what actions you should take for yourself. We can learn from others. We can learn from what is wrong for what is right. And I think you encapsulate it in this article well, and that we need to move on for the future, even with our past, and what we may have supported in our past, we can put that behind us. It's okay. And we can use that as testimony for others who are still stuck in that past or that egocentric mindset of not being able to see the bigger picture. But we are going to move forward nonetheless, and we can move forward together with the present truth, the ever-present truth that is our reality. Thank you very much for watching. This is Corey Engerlot. Go to theliberator.us, send us your article, your poetry, your music, whatever it is. I want to hear about it. I want to do an analysis. I want to talk about it. I just want to get this conversation going. It is very important that humanity remains humanity and does not give their conscience, their will to some people that they don't know, that they claim that they think they know because they saw them on TV. No. Own your own lives. Take control of it. Thank you very much for watching.